Hello. I'm gonna wait for people to come in and then we will start on the subject today, which is femininity is for you, ultimately, as a woman. Hello. I'm excited to have this conversation because I think it's overdue. And I said I have to get into the long form now. I've been a short form queen, but it's time to be a long form, babe. Excuse me. I am well, thank you, Wilson. How are you? Hi, is it Ingratia? Hope all is well with everybody. I'm going to dive straight in. So the topic today is femininity is for you. This is really geared towards women, but everyone can listen because, you know, of course it can edify the people around you, but also it also does relate back to relationships. I figure this topic is quite important because yes, it's for the ladies mainly. That's why I'll keep it up and I'll post it on the YouTube. But I'm seeing a lot of like anti-femininity content, which is stupid because that's your baseline as a woman. So it's not healthy to kind of be against what is your nature, you know, to be feminine, to be graceful, to be loving and soft and nurturing. I'm seeing people, you know, even online about serving your husband or serving your man, and it's like met with this kind of thing of this disdain. And whilst I'm not going to sit here and act like we don't understand why that is, sometimes men cannot be appreciative. There are human relations can be they're not always straightforward, right? There can be issues, but I don't think it's healthy to push a narrative that being feminine, nurturing, caring, loving is going against you as a woman. I think that shows a personal disconnect if that's how you feel. So yeah, let's get into it. Femininity is for you. We're going to talk firstly about the aspects of femininity. If I'm looking down, I have my notes to the side. It's great that your daughter and you are listening. I'm glad. If you have any questions, definitely put them in the chat. I'll get through my points and then I'll answer. But yes, so the aspects of femininity. The way I like to go about this is really by the senses. Because I think femininity is sensuality. And when we talk about sensuality, people then think of intimacy. It's not necessarily intimacy. Sensuality is holistic. It's the senses. And as a woman, sensuality is important. It's about how you make people feel. You know, how you are a blessing and how you help. You know, that fullness you bring, that nurturing you bring. It stimulates all the different senses. So with the eyes, of course, the visuals. Put yourself together. Putting yourself together is not just for the male gaze, as women like to say. Oh, it's for the male gaze. You're dressed like that. You're dressed like this. Or you've done your makeup or you've done your hair. Everybody has their different looks. No one's saying you have to go out with a full glam every day. I think you can keep it light and cute, and it can take 10 minutes. It can be short, but it can be productive and beautiful, right? So I would say, yes, when it comes to beauty, it goes back to that key saying of when you look good, you feel good. So that's why it's good to put yourself together, because it doesn't just bless those around you. It doesn't just attract good things to you. Because of course, when you see, I don't know whether you've ever walked down the street and seen a pretty lady or somebody look really good, and they get attention, they get favor. I've gone to stores or in the workplace. I mean, sometimes it causes haters, but haters are going to hate. It also attracts a lot of good. People are really fond of you. People give you discounts. People like beauty or femininity or beauty. You are the flowers, you know, you are the flowers of this earth. It's beautiful to nurture yourself. It's beautiful to groom yourself, to take time, having a self-care day once a week or a self-care evening if you're busy, just having that moment and that time to nurture yourself physically. You know, this world gets so busy. It's not like back in the day where, you know, women were just subject to the home. They had more time on their hands. You have to make sure you intentionally carve out time in your schedule to tend to yourself. It doesn't have to be, femininity doesn't have to, it should not be a burden. If your femininity has become a burden, again, that is signifying that there is a disconnect within you. another part of the beauty topic when we're talking about the visuals of the senses is exercise, keeping yourself healthy, which leads to the next point. Food. The homely tasks, so this is the mouth, the taste, or, you could say scent, smell, right? This is a weird one that, again, being homely is being discouraged online. It's like if you're homely, and this is what the feminists do, they'll say, it's bad. No, they'll say it's a choice. It's a choice to stay at home or go to work, right? And I always encourage women to have an income either way, whatever you choose to do. If you stay at home, you have a side hustle. If you're going to work, then you go to work. But then when a woman does say she wants to stay at home, suddenly everybody is anti staying at home. Suddenly it's not really a choice. Feminists like to give off this illusion that they're saying, you get the right to choose, but then they clearly have a bias towards what you should choose ideally and what you shouldn't choose. And it's not being a homemaker. It's not, it's anti the family, right? So, but I am pro cooking. Again, cooking, aspects of femininity and how it benefits you as a woman. Cooking is firstly the health. Eating out runs up the bill. A lot of this food is so processed. It's not healthy. You cook, you see what goes onto your plate and goes into your body. It's nourishing yourself. It's more conscious. And as the women, you're meant to be the conscious people. You are the nurturers. I'm going to be using that word a lot, but it's significant. You're the ones who make people feel well. You're the healers. So yes, what you're putting in your body, never mind your children's body, your husband's body, whatever, you need to make sure that is good. But cooking, to me, again, cooking and cleaning, it falls under the same thing of servitude, homeliness. And it's a shame that these are things that are seen as serving is a negative, or serving is seen as, oh, it benefits the man, it doesn't benefit me. And I think this is the danger when you're trying to force women into the role of a trad wife, or the role of just, your gender role, traditionally, the cooking, the cleaning, stuff like that. And of course, yes, the world has evolved and we have to evolve with it. Women are working as well, yada, yada, yada. So we do adjust these things accordingly. But ultimately, it still falls mostly on the woman to take care of the home. It is silly to say that serving only benefits, because this is what I'm saying, if you're truly tapped into your femininity, there is joy in cooking a meal that your friends love, that your family loves. I used to do Bible studies and I used to cook for the people who came over to the Bible studies. I didn't need to. You could just do little picky bits and people could just pick what they wanted. But there's a joy in taking care of people, having a good meal, breaking bread together, cooking things people like. That's fulfilling in your femininity. That's fulfilling. Now, of course, we have to present the caveat that this is why you have to create a life that appreciates your femininity, that isn't trying to rob you of that. If you are this go-getter career woman, your femininity might be sacrificed. So therefore, now showing up in your femininity feels like a chore. And that's why it's important. For me, I started being a social media manager. I started to freelance because it meant I could be at home. And I thought that, if I then get married, at least it gives me that flexibility that I can work from home and still serve the family. And it wouldn't be too much of a strain versus clocking in and clocking back out. Do you get my point? So everybody has to find what works for them, but serving should not feel like a chore. There's a joy you get in putting a smile on people's faces. That's part of being a helpmate. That's not a negative, and that you have to reframe your thinking there, because I don't even understand how it could be a negative. Like, that just says you're a selfish person. I think a lot of people's worldview is disproportionately molded by their personal experience. Nobody follows empirical evidence when they grow up under toxic conditions or had toxic relations. Yeah, I do agree that people are, of course, we're all shaped by our personal experiences, but then we're also shaped by the propaganda and what's being pushed. The issue is when you're being shaped by personal experiences. This is what I talk about a lot, is like, it's really it goes down to your processing system. How are you processing reality? Because if I went through this, so then I say all men are bad, or I went through this, so all women are bad. You know, like, you have to evolve beyond. That's why my first podcast episode, if you don't know, I have a podcast I dropped, Don't Shoot the Villain. And the first podcast episode I dropped is Evolving Beyond the Wound. Because I think that's really a fundamental, like, a lot of people are projecting a lot of their traumas. And it's causing disarray socially, because it's like, you haven't healed, number one, but you haven't also evolved beyond it. Like, you're allowing it to govern the way you think and maneuver life, and that's not healthy. If a woman corrects a father-loving husband, that goes for... Yeah, exactly, of course. If that was reality, but it's not, and I live in the real world. I don't think it's, you know... I just wish more people, especially the people who are critical of women and the way women are behaving now, I wish they could be more pragmatic. Because there's a lot of judgment for women, even though there's not the same amount of judgment I feel held for the men who sometimes cause this pain and trauma within women that makes them then kind of retreat from the whole homely stuff. But nevertheless, we're all accountable for ourselves. We're all responsible for ourselves. And then, yes, going back to cleaning, ultimately, cleanliness is next to godliness. Now, do I believe inherently, whilst I do prefer a man who, he can't really cook that much, but that's a personal preference, because it's fun when they can't cook as much. It's like, yeah, like, just know how to cook rice and know how to put some chicken in the oven. Like, that's, you know, I'm even happy I like to barbecue, but I do have that advantage that I just prefer to cook. And that's why I think it's also important to appreciate there's some men who prefer to cook more. You know, that's why I'm saying roles are changing, people are evolving. There has to be that flexibility in these conversations, and every relationship is going to be different. You know, there's not a one size fits all approach. It's stupid that the social media, like, people just try to push this one way of doing things, and it's like, that's not, humans are dynamic. That's not real. That's not reflective of real life. And then, you know, I won't get too much into the intimacies, but again, that is another form of femininity. Serving is fulfillment. Being served is fulfillment. Like, pleasing one another, that shouldn't feel like a chore to you. If it feels like a chore, you're in the wrong relationship, or you're not communicating. This is another thing I wanted to talk about, because I think a lot of the resentment held within women concerning their femininity is because they are not communicating. They are assuming a man would understand things that are unspoken. You need to voice whatever's happening. You need to be able to even firstly process whatever's going on within you internally that may be making you, oh, I don't want to do this, or I don't prefer this. Like, communication is very key. Very key. It's so sad that it's such a basic in this world, but it's such a struggle for so many people. So yeah, I definitely say communication it helps when it comes to this, you know, reducing potential irritation and like frustration in relationships, especially pertaining to, you know, oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Women build up this resentment. And again, this is why I say you really have to be doing things out of, because you see the joy in it, you see the love in it, you see the beauty in it, not because it's this, I have to do it. And I think anytime I see some men on the internet where they're trying to convince women to be homemakers, or say women just need to be in the home. And I think it's dangerous to push that, because if they don't want to be there and you're forcing them there, it won't be a good place. It won't be a nice place. Would you rather someone, as a man, men in this chat, would you rather be served because the woman wants to serve you or because you forced her to? Would you rather? Like, no, I'm pretty sure most of you would rather be served because she wants to. She wants to. Therefore, and that's why I want to even bless her. I want to take care of her because she's taking care of me. It's reciprocal. That's why femininity, and we're going to get into that point about how femininity is not for every man. That's why I said you don't even inherently do it for a man. A lot of these things I've talked about, the beauty, that transcends beyond the man you're with or getting a man. Help, food, cooking, cleaning, that transcends beyond a man. intimacy, sensuality, again, that transcends beyond being with a man. Even being with yourself. Are you at peace within your body? A lot of women struggle in dynamics with a partner because they struggle alone. Your femininity, your body you have shame in it. So then when it comes to relationships, there's now issues there. You have to think of all of these things. Now, the other part of femininity that I think is neglected. Women are known to take a seed of a man and make a whole baby. We are nurturers. We take a house, make it a home, right? And it's beautiful. So there's one other aspect that we can help to grow. I want to know if anyone knows what that other aspect is of life that we can, in life, beyond the home, that we can be good at growing. I want to see if anyone puts it in the chat. If no one does, I'll say. Money. Okay, well, spirituality is a good point. It's just, what the thing with spirituality is not everyone believes in that. Love that's in the home. That's what I was saying, in the home. Those are great points. But I wanted to talk about money, finances, career building. I love Proverbs 31 because you see a woman who she tends to the home, but she can also tend to the fields, to the gardens. She can also, the thing is with femininity, right? There's only so much you can do in a day. Exactly. Yeah, money it's money. It's the obvious one. It is. But the reason, for some, it's not obvious because they just think, oh, woman, femininity is just wearing dresses and doing the cooking and the cleaning. And that doesn't appreciate the fullness and the capability of a lot of women. A lot of women are competent and can do things. Whether it's just simply financial management, that is a part of your femininity, life planning. I don't like this mentality that's being pushed on women to just think for the now. And that's why there's this consumerist culture amongst women, buying, and they're not really thinking. Capitalism is fueled by women's consumption, like above all. You see they really pushing the sales to. Money is definitely it, because even without making it, managing it is also a skill men need help with. Exactly. Thank you for that. So it's like, and I just wanted to make this note as well. When you get into a serious relationship, that is something you cannot neglect these conversations. A man who wants you in the dark or blind concerning finances is not any man who requires you blind to be with them in the first place is not ideally a man you want to be with. You don't want to be with a man who just says, just trust me. Why can't you be transparent? What's the issue there? If that man is hiding things from you, then there's something to hide. If he doesn't want to show you, then he doesn't trust you. Therefore, why are you submitting to somebody who does not trust you? Finances, it's the masculine and the feminine is the yin and the yang. And so to appreciate how you can benefit, whatever it is, whether there's a business, whether there's a side hustle, whether it's whatever you're doing, but make idle hands are the devil's workshop. A big part of femininity, that's why they say you can't be feminine and be broke. And now I know someone's going to say, but there are women who, maybe they come from third world countries, they're still feminine. They're not broke. There's a difference between, you come from poverty, but you're not actually broke. It's just you live in, that's a different level of living. But you're still feminine within that context. A lot of people, you can't be feminine and really be struggling, So get finances in order. Nurture yourself. That is for you. Make things grow. Think long term. Don't be like many women who are just thinking for the now. That's a super, super important one. I really do recommend anyone reads Proverbs 31, especially for the women. It's just it's a very grounding text as a woman, and I think it shows that women can be competent. I see some unfortunate men who just don't believe women should do certain things, and when they have misogynistic values. And I think it's dangerous. I think life, at the end of the day, you can marry someone, he can drop dead. And then what do you know how to do to take care of the family? Just cook and clean. You need to be clued up on these things. That is just it's an adulting thing. It's beyond femininity, to be honest. It's adulting. If the part is, what if something happens? Both should... See, you're saying what I'm saying. We're on the same vibe here. Exactly. If something happens, both should be on top of the things concerning the home. That is healthy. That is productive. That's honest. Anything less than that, that's not somebody who... They may pose it as, oh, I'm the man and I want to take care of you. But no, that's about control. And they want you ignorant. And that's dangerous. It's dangerous. Honest people don't need you in the dark about anything. So, now that we've gotten the core of femininities for you, if there's any questions, feel free to put them out. I'm going to give it like a good minute. And then I will go on to the next part, which is a really, really good part. And this gets into relationships a bit more. But I hope this part has helped. And I can't wait to post it on YouTube because I think it will be a good talk. Because I initially talked about reclaiming femininity. That's already on my YouTube channel for Black women specifically, because I know that that's been a struggle for many women in their journeys. Like, femininity has been a conflicting thing. You're raised to be quite dysfunctional, to be quite... And I also think we have to approach the conversation, because sometimes there's this lie that certain traits are masculine, like being a hard worker. It's not masculine to be a hustler. Some women have that dog in them. That is not bad. You just need to know. And this is part of also, remember, femininity is like water. It flows, right? But if you look at water, it also takes on different forms. This is not necessarily water in itself, but it's juice. It takes on this form of this cup, right? But then if I put it in the fridge, it becomes ice. You have to, being feminine is being adaptable. So when I'm home with my man, naturally I want to soften up. Naturally I want to be sweet. Naturally I want to be all of these things. But then when I go into work, then you don't necessarily completely, depending on what you do, I'm not saying abandon your femininity, but it just takes on a different shape. Rather than saying it's masculinity, it's not necessarily that. It's just you appreciate the different aspects of you. Humans are, again, dynamic beings. So I don't like how we try to limit these conversations based on the yin and the yang, because... And there's nothing wrong with also having... Men should have some femininity. Women should have some masculinity. That's a human thing. Like, it's not... that you're not limited. It's just you need to know where to channel those different aspects of you. So you're not messing yourself up and messing relationships up or work up. Some people, it's even reversed. They bring their femininity to work and that messes things up because they always need to be told. They don't take initiative, So there is a time for everything. Exactly. Okay, well, I'll go into the next point since I didn't see any questions. The difference between performative femininity and authentic femininity. One of my favorite topics, because in today's world, especially now that women are making a U-turn, if you see online, slowly back into conservatism and Christianity, or they will pander to men and then suddenly become, more feminine, more soft, and they're playing games just to get something, which I think is so dangerous and so detrimental and stupid, right? You shouldn't have to ever perform femininity. If you do, I can't even understand the mentality of that. Like, what's to be so warped to even be at a place where you're performing femininity. These distinctions are not supposed to be absolutes, just degrees. If not, men wouldn't have estrogen and women wouldn't have testosterone. Beautiful points. Very beautiful points. Thank you for that. Exactly. So performative femininity is when you're doing something to get a desired result and then you stop. Those women who, they dress super beautiful and to get a man, and then when they get the man, they get sloppy, they gain weight, they don't really check themselves, they just get too comfortable. And that shows that you weren't doing it because you love to do it. That's why I say femininity is for you. It shouldn't be necessarily people benefit from it, but it's ultimately for you. So people stop looking good. This is another way. There's an aspect to performative femininity that I don't see anyone else talk about, which is setting yourself up to fail by doing too much. Some women will go into a dynamic initially and shook and jive for the man, like do the most. Now, a year later, 2 years later, 5 years later, you can't do the same things you were doing because you did it all in this attempt to win a man. Now you're burning yourself out. Don't do more than you know. Can I keep this up for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? That's when you know it's a performance, when you know that this isn't sustainable. And that's why, again, it does go back to that conversation of communication in relationships. That's why even when it comes to, look, how you dress, how you look. For me, I know, look, I'm not the most, excessive with the style. It's simple. It's dresses and tops. It's quick makeup looks. I cut my hair short. I do a quick look. Some people have time to do certain things. I do what works for me. I don't overextend myself. I don't like that. You don't want to. Your femininity should not be causing burnout. It should actually be the recovery. I truly hate when people try to game the system. Exactly. It's stupid. It's just, because the thing is, it's checks and balances. If you think you're getting away with something, you're not. A lot of the time, it always comes back around. So it's not even worth it. So yes, that's performing. Now, authentic femininity, as I said, it's rooted in genuinely, you see the beauty in why you're feminine. You see the love. You see the joy. You prefer it. It's a preferred state. And that's why I hope more women can shift to a place where it's a default state. None of that soft girl, soft life stuff. Not that. That's also, I'd say, an aspect of performativeness. It's not, femininity isn't just, again, it's not just dresses and baking cookies. There's so much more to a person, to women, than they want to reduce themselves to, than they want to pacify themselves to. You are a whole adult, or becoming an adult. It's stupid to reduce yourself in any way, shape, or form. Authentic femininity, the main point is that it is non-circumstantial. You are not feminine because... I see some people say, a man put me in my feminine energy. That shouldn't be happening. Yes, a man should be a safe space for your femininity to thrive, and we're going to get into that. But you should have already been feminine. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand how someone can take you from whatever state you were in prior to that, so a more dysfunctional state, and then made you feminine. I would argue that's performative, because then what... So basically, depending on how he behaves... Thank you for the likes. Depending on how he behaves is dependent on your femininity. That's a dangerous place to be as a woman. Your femininity shouldn't be contingent upon however anybody acts. It shouldn't be contingent upon that. That should just be your default. You create that space. Life starts with you and ends with you. You come in this world alone, you go alone. So you really have to preserve yourself. Don't put your humanity in someone else's hands. The core things about you, that should be you. Your livelihood, that should be you. You're not here to be... I think some women still live in this kind of old, Stone Age thinking of as if you are being sold to a man. You're not being sold. You come as a whole. He comes as a whole. And you are building together to some degree, right? Whether it's a family, whether it's economically, whatever it is, but you come together. So this is dangerous, the concept that someone can put you in femininity. Authentic femininity is not circumstantial, and it's not something that... It starts with you and it ends with you. My personal problem with feminism is not it affects women, but it emasculates men to making them feminine, as if masculinity is bad, toxic by default. I should say radical feminism, because I do think there's a lot of positive... Yes. You know, somebody in my comments said I was a radical feminist. Because I made a video saying I don't like radical feminism. I studied sociology in A-levels. And my understanding of radical feminism was like the extreme, like they, to some degree, it's misandry and promoting lesbianism to oppose the patriarchy. So I was like, how? And they were saying because you are against like using men, that's like radical feminist. I was like, see, this is why I avoid comments sometimes on my page, because I'm just like, I don't understand where that's come from. There is a lot of positivity from the core of feminism. I just made a video about that. I need to post it over this weekend. There is a positivity in that. You know, that's why these women like Candace Owens, they come out and they speak negatively about feminism, but you would not have the mic if you didn't have feminism. So it's stupid to come against basic human rights. We're seeing human rights being taken from women across the world. It's a blessing to be able to speak. I would never disrespect people who came before us and fought for that. But we know that the culture, of course, it's been hijacked by whatever or whoever, and it's now become something very toxic. Okay, this is my... But when you say I could never be a feminist, by what are you understanding about feminism? As in the basics of human rights, of equality between a man and a woman. When I say equality, I'm not saying we are equal as in we are the same. I'm saying equal as in a woman should have rights. Hence why I can have this live stream right now. Again, I don't really ascribe to labels either. I just say I'm grateful for that era of the feminist movement and what it did. And I still believe in pushing that across the globe. There's places in Africa, child marriage is still happening. Feminism, you know. But this is, see, it's a human rights issue above all. I don't even know whether to say it's feminism. It's just human rights. It's basic human rights. But anyway, going on a tangent here. Let's get back to the subject. The last point I wanted to make about femininity is for you. It's of course because I think it's truly reflective in dating. So I couldn't have this conversation and not appreciate dating. And when I say date intentionally, this is not just about men. Because it's about, in the sense of the man you pick. That's not what I mean by dating intentionally. Because Lord knows, sometimes you pick a bad egg. They say you gotta kiss a few frogs before you meet your prince. Ideally, we don't want to, but life happens, right? I always say fail fast. The minute you see that this person is just no good, don't give too much grace. People are adults. People know what they're doing. Move on quickly. Don't let people... Because the thing about femininity, again, you can taint yourself putting yourself in the wrong man's arms. And you can really mess up how you feel about yourself. The wrong man will ruin a woman. The wrong man will really ruin a woman. So that's what I'm saying. It's about that assessment. Does he value, appreciate, and nurture your femininity? He doesn't create it. He doesn't make you feminine. But does he provide the space where you can be feminine, though? Or is he shutting it down because it's one of two? Men will either truly, really appreciate, and this is especially in this era where so many women, like, it's low-key a cheat code to be feminine right now. To really tap into who you are. Because the right man will truly... A lot of men don't know what to do with a feminine woman, but the right man will truly appreciate a feminine woman. The right man will. Some men want... A lot of men will harp on about how they want feminine women, but they don't know how to appreciate that. They think it's owed and deserved. Like misogynistic men. They'll be like, yeah, I'm owed food on the table. I'm owed this. I think anytime you move with that arrogance of I'm owed rather than I'm grateful, there's a complete difference in how that reads, how that feels in relation. And that's why it translates as gratitude rather than feeling like, yeah, she owes me that food that she cooks. She owes me that cleaning that she does. I'm grateful that I have a good woman. There's a complete difference. So as women, you have to really make sure you're with a man that appreciates your femininity, like shows you love for that. The same way as a man, you would want a woman who appreciates your masculinity, that it's not just, yeah, well, he's a man, he has to pay the bills, he has to... No, it's, I'm grateful, you show that gratitude. It's an exchange of gratitude, these relationships. That's what I think ideally they should be. an exchange of gratitude. So date intentionally, assess these things, communicate. Do not assume that people know what you need and what you want and what you require. That is so important. So yeah, I thought to have this conversation because we have to get back to femininity as Black women. We have to get back to the beauty of truly what it is to be a Black woman. We are the most feminine. We've really lost our way, but I truly believe we can get back to the fundamentals, the beauty of just being graceful, loving, warm. This is how my dad is. He feels owed for everything and feels what he owes are like favors. Not his fault, it's the indoctrination. Exactly. And that's why I love these conversations we can have. Thank you for that honesty, because a lot of these issues in relationships, there's so much dishonesty. Oh, women just don't want to be feminine. We have to appreciate that. Yeah, a lot of women have felt so like they've not felt nurtured and loved and appreciated, and then it creates resentment. We have to be honest in these conversations if we want things to be better. Everybody, that's why I say, my dad told me when I was young, when you point a finger, one points back at you. Like, just check yourself before you blame other people for their deficits. Like, honesty is so required when it comes to relationships, when it comes to personal development. What is the definition of femininity to you? Well, femininity is just, again, it's the attributes that are ascribed to women typically, like the nurturing, the softness, the grace, the love, we just did the whole live stream kind of going through the aspects of femininity, so you would have to catch the replay. But yeah, femininity it's full. But being a woman as well, being a feminine woman doesn't mean being weak. It's not a weakness, it's actually a strength. And that's why the topic was femininity is for you, because I want to just hammer in that this is not something you're doing out of a deficit. Being a woman in a man's life, it shouldn't be about surviving. It shouldn't be because without him, I can't be. It should be about two whole people coming together. And that's why it leads to a separate topic, which is about colonial patriarchy, because I truly believe, I'm not against patriarchy. I really don't have an issue with it. But the colonizer, I think, has really corrupted and capitalism, that intersection between the two. It's corrupted the way we see each other. It's corrupted the way we relate to each other, especially as Black people, because I don't think historically that's how we've been. I think, and that's why I always relate to Proverbs 31, because it is still a historical text, and the book is still a book of color, as much as I don't believe all of it, because it shows a woman who wasn't just, all her value was in rearing, all her value was in cooking and cleaning. It shows that, look, she was blessed in the home and her kids called her blessed, but she was also blessed outside. She also did great things. What we're seeing in the world, when you look at Afghanistan and the Taliban and stuff like that, like, that is not, again, this is colonial nonsense that says a woman shouldn't even be seen. That's not human. That's sick. Or marrying off children. Like, that's some twisted, sick, but I'm not going to get too much into that today. But yeah, that's why I'm just trying to have these more honest conversations, because I think online there's not really many spaces where people can just say, you know what, we're all complicit in the good and the bad. It's not just men who are good or men who are bad. It's not just women who are good or women who are bad. Nice catching you live for the first time. Love the role you are playing for our young ones. Thank you so much, Kudakwashe. Thank you. I appreciate that. Another time I will do that. I'm a little bit, yeah. Another time, I'm just warming up. This is like my first live in a long time. But I will definitely start to do the whole collaborative stuff. I love social media approaches. I lie that most Black women are not feminine, though. Yeah, that's true. It's a lie. It's definitely, there's a lot of femininity amongst us. Is there responsibility that comes with femininity? Is there responsibility that comes with femininity? is there responsibility that comes with masculinity? Yeah, well, I guess you're asking, what does femininity hold its own? I think with anything, there's responsibility that comes with self. I don't want to put it to femininity. I think there's just a responsibility that comes with self. And I think a lot of women are not responsible for self. They don't, there's a lack of, being, like, they're not adults. There's an issue with, there's a little bit of a, that women aren't really functioning like adults currently, generally speaking. And that's a deeper topic of many reasons as for why that is. But I think there's just a responsibility with being an adult. There's a responsibility when it says, okay, I'm going to be in a relationship, or I'm going to have friendships, or I'm going to be a career woman. There's responsibility in general. I wouldn't say it's because of femininity. It's just, you need to be a responsible person. And then that kind of filters into every other aspect of your life. There's always responsibility. Yeah, there's always responsibility. There's always, but are you in an environment that accountability. That's why I'm saying that is there responsibility in femininity? Yeah, I couldn't say so. Accountability, I think that makes sense. And how capable are you? So it is hard. How capable you are, so it's hard to say. Yeah. Anyway, are there any more questions? Because I am going to close this live in about 5 minutes. So if there's any other questions or talking points, thoughts, comments. This has been a first live. It's been good. I have never gone live on Instagram Live in my life. But I'm looking to at least start to do it more often. Ideally, it would be nice if you guys can join and support the Patreon, because I prefer members only. I prefer the intimacy of that. Then people can really join, jump on. It's nice. So yeah. I wonder what Dr. Umar thinks regarding this topic. No idea why I'm thinking about him now. If you could change something about femininity, what would you change? There's nothing about femininity I would change. It is what it is. I just think it's more so the perception of what it is to be a feminine woman. Sometimes people just think it's all about softness, and it's like, no, there's strength, there's courage in that. Doesn't mean you're weak. That's the only thing I would really say when it comes to femininity. You look at in nature, they say, oh, men are just protectors. No, when you see cubs, you see them with women. Typically it's tigers with their female tigers with their babies. Women are protectors as well. Women can be fierce as well. It doesn't take away from your femininity to be strong. And that's why I'm saying I don't like that it's being reduced. Oh yeah, also, okay, what other live topics would you like to hear? This is a good place to let me know what would you like to hear, because then I can actually plan for the future ones. I'll probably be on live this weekend. I would like a discussion about being an authentic African woman, and I'm tired of... Let me write that down. That's a good one. I like that. I really like that. That's a good topic. Authentic African woman. Ooh. We could start that tomorrow, guys. We could start that tomorrow. Thank you for that suggestion. That's a good one. That's a really good one. Ooh. I fear you cooked with that, sir. If there's any other ideas for lives, put them in the comments. You got about 5 minutes, and then I gotta go, because it's getting late. Authentic African woman. That's a really good point. Because it's not, yeah. That's what I'm saying. And this is why has just made a post about the wigs and all of this stuff. Again, I'm not going to get too much into it, but it is jarring when I see stuff like that, because even when you look at the black representation online, everyone's in a bust down, everyone, like, there's just a certain look, and it's really frustrating. Natural beauty, is that a topic, or you're saying that? But yeah, it's very frustrating. The African crab in a bucket mentality. The African crabs in a bucket. I feel like that's one part of a bigger conversation. I'll write it down, because I think that's something that's definitely part of it. I think that's a black issue, to be honest. That's a black issue. Yeah, this is topics like this. That's why I'm so glad I'm transitioning to long form, because there's just more to give than a 2-minute reel could ever give. Okay, mentality. Thank you for that suggestion. I've written it down. I'm trying to think of what else. Let me read through my notes. Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed Prolific. I like that name. Because some of these topics I wanted to say for the podcast, but which again you can stream in my bio, but I did want to talk about, how was your experience in school as an African woman? It was, typical black girl, like, you're not really I feel like with non-black women, they're given their flowers, but with us, we're not given our flowers until the end. Then I won all these awards, but I didn't feel like I was, appreciated in the duration of it. Sorry, let me get through these comments. Thank you, Will Lasisi. I hope I'm getting that right. I have a YouTube channel. Go on my bio. My podcast is there. My content is there. Definitely go. I need to be promoting it more clearly. I'll put a GIF up. But yeah, it's the link in the bio. I have my channel. I like feminine info. I'm glad. Thank you. Is it Ingracia Banks? I don't know whether I'm saying that right, but thank you. Where Christianity and the church has failed. First within Africa and globally. I'm going to write that. Thank you. Because one thing I don't like that people say is that Christianity and the church are mutually exclusive. They're not. They are not. So I think that's an important conversation. I just started the podcast this week. I have 2 episodes out. I say this topic, I am a pro-conservative Christian. You know what? Hey, we're all, I think it's beautiful that you're open. I think that's where growth is for all of us. So that's good. Failed first. Yeah. Africa and globally. My writing is so bad. See, people like this, inevitable risk, that's not cute. Like, if I make a post about men, don't bring up women. This is a very cheap thing, because the thing about a lot of these men is, if I make a post about women, they will not come into the comments saying, oh, but men also do that. It's a weak talking point. It says you are a weak man, a weak character. Hold yourself to your standard. Like, hold yourself as a man. Do you know what I mean? Don't be weak. It's on Apple Podcasts, yes. It's called Don't Shoot the Villain. It's all on my link in bio. But yes, no, I'll close this now. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And I will see you in probably this weekend. So take care of yourselves. Bye.